In this video, we're going to explore the phrase that we've all heard once or twice before. You don't know what you don't know. It's the Dunning Kruger Effect.
Have you ever heard that phrase before? That little pithy mantra or cliche, if you've heard it too many times, is going to be explained right here in what I draw for you in the Dunning Kruger Effect. A few years ago, I heard about what this was, and there was a couple of scientists, I think they were in New England, and they did this study to realize in the end that people who are ignorant about a topic are super confident about that same topic much of the time, especially in the beginning of them understanding something. And I want to relate it to the infinite banking concept, what we teach and preach around here when we're talking about code cracking cash flow. This is the book from which it comes from, and this is the mind of the man from which it came. R. Nelson Nash realized what he now calls the infinite banking concept and what is being more widespread performing theory for people to be able to use whole life insurance for a banking system. That's what it's all about. And many people out there that we talk to, even people who have started the process of doing infinite banking, get into this Dunning Kruger effect. Let me draw it for you. Let's take a look right here. Okay. When we're taking a look at this experience right here, that right there is going to help us understand the Dunning Kruger effect, okay? So what we have here is, actually, you know, let me draw it a little bit more like this for you. Let me do it a little more dramatic. How about that? Okay, here we go. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit of an arc, and we've got an axis here, and then we've got our axis right there. Okay. So what we've got here is a peak of confidence right here. The peak of confidence right here. This is going to help us understand the confidence axis right here. Confidence. And on this axis, we have knowledge. Everybody with me? Okay so far? All right. This peak right here is often called Mount Stupid, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever experienced a conversation with someone where they seem to talk a whole lot about things that you realize they didn't know? They talked a whole lot about things on a topic from which they had no idea what was going on. We have a tendency to overemphasize how great we must be or think or understand a topic that we know nothing about. And the realization comes to us way later here when we realize, wow, there's a whole lot more to know about this topic than I really first understood. And let me go all the way over here and let me show you what happens to an expert. An expert often underemphasizes. They often underemphasize how much they know something because their confidence has told them over time and over learning and over mistakes that they don't know as much as they actually do. So an expert is somewhere over here on this axis, and they underemphasize what they actually know. It's very interesting right here because in a lot of cases, the Mount Stupid has taken us so high, we realize I used to be a lot more confident about what was going on. And at the peak of my Mount Stupid career, I knew way less on the knowledge axis about this topic. And now that I'm an expert, I actually have a tendency to underemphasize what I actually know. Now let's relate that to infinite banking. When we teach people what whole life insurance from a mutual company designed for cash flow can do for folks, they get so excited. They often say this phrase. Let me know if you've heard it before. Wow, sounds too good to be true. That's because at the beginning, most people are overemphasizing what they realize they know. They think they know a lot more than they actually do. And they don't really understand, in most cases, banking. They don't understand the flow of money and how we're going to utilize this policy with an ever-increasing guaranteed growth and cash flow, income tax-free, with dividends coming from mutual companies on an annual basis. People just don't realize we're still going to bank with it. We're still going to borrow this money, borrow against cash values, and use it as a banking institution for our personal lives and our families. So we're still going to be paying it back with interest, and people tend to fail and fall down at that point. Let's take a look again. Down the slope right here. And what happens when they get to the bottom, once they get a little bit of culture, let's put culture right here, and they understand what's really happening and what's going on, they end up falling into what's called the pit of despair. How about that one? Pit o' despair. Because they realize, wow, I was not really as well informed, or hey, this was a scam. This is where you hear it down here at this point. Hey, this is a scam at this point. And the scam isn't because something that they learned was not true. The scam isn't because infinite banking or whole life insurance does not work for a banking institution on a personal level. The scam was, well, I knew so much, my ego has told me that it wasn't as good as I thought it was. Therefore, it's a scam. Therefore, it's not true. Therefore, it can't possibly work this well. And that's what happens to them down here. And most people at this point quit. They stop learning. They get to what Nelson Nash calls the arrival syndrome. At this point, it makes no sense to them. And because it makes no sense, there's nothing left for them to learn. They're going to stop and stare from the pit of despair, go down to the bottom of the pit right there. What is going to happen is they're not going to have anything else to learn. It's over for them. It's done. And the problem with that is they are no longer going to be disturbed or cultured or educated into becoming an expert on something. Do you know people out there who've decided that they're great drivers right here at the peak? They've decided that they're phantasmo drivers, and then they get themselves into, maybe these are 16-year-olds, maybe these are your kids. They end up over time realizing, wow, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I've had problems. I wrecked the car. And it takes a while to realize, hey, I'm not going to be an expert until I work on this for a while, until I learn some new skills and tricks, defensive driving techniques, and things like that. That happens to a lot of people. But the problem is that expert who knows they don't know everything, they have a tendency to under-qualify where they land on this confidence and knowledge scale put together. Once you study things for a couple of days, weeks, months, and years, whatever that might be, if you decide to spend 10,000 hours working on something and you read a few books on it, you meet a few people, you realize I don't know everything there's possibly to know. And you have a tendency to underemphasize how good you are at something. So I want to encourage you with that on your journey of learning about utilizing these concepts we teach you for fundamentals around your financial freedom journey, to stay on course and to realize that if something is guaranteed in contract to grow in cash flow for you, income tax free for the rest of your whole life and leave a big legacy to your family, there's more to learn, and you should stay on the journey. Don't fall into that valley and sit and stew in the pit of despair. Don't get to the arrival syndrome, which Nelson talks about in his book, and decide there's nothing else for me to know. I know everything there is. Keep working, keep learning, keep growing, because your cash is going to keep flowing no matter what. It's guaranteed. Peace, everybody. Hope this was helpful. If you want to know more, subscribe to us right here at The Cash Compound, and we'll talk very soon on a one-on-one cash consultation with one of our coaches who personally practices the infinite banking concept, and they'll teach you how to save and spend your money at the exact same time.
Gave a lot of game, we never got a lot of things. Bow your head and say the prayer. We taught you how to be the bank.